Those going door to door encounter a range of people at the door, from the COVID deniers or just the uncertain. Dr. Laura Murray is a clinical psychologist and a senior scientist at Johns Hopkins University School of Public Health. She's an expert on behavioral health issues. Dr. Laura Murray, thank you for joining me. Give me a sense of what's driving that 40% of people who are just not vaccinated and don't seem to want to be vaccinated.
So we're hearing not enough information, worries about possible side effects, distrust in government to make sure that vaccines are safe and effective. Politics have played a role. The belief that the risk of COVID may be exaggerated is something we're hearing.
This idea, like, I don't know enough about the vaccine. Where does that come from? Is that misinformation?
In general, those that are hesitant have a psychological variable that has a lower level of trust in scientists, healthcare professionals, and state, likely not surprising. They tend to have lower levels of something we call cognitive reflection, or just lower levels of thinking through something very carefully. They tend to have lower levels of altruism. Conspiratory thinking is another predictor of vaccine hesitancy. We also are seeing a psychological variable where these folks are having higher levels of an internal locus of control. And what that means is they like to have more control, which may guide the need to have more of that information.
Knowing all of that then, and knowing the psychological profile, how do you use that to get that 40% vaccinated?
One of the things we talk about while working on human behavior change is taking some of the emotion out of it. And this is so much easier said than done, because a lot of us who are reaching out feel a certain way ourselves. Another solution is to ask a lot of questions. What would these people need to know to consider the vaccine, rather than just feeding what we might come up with? We know that messaging is often best when it's someone who's trusted. And I know different communities and governments are using social influencers or community leaders to reach those that are vaccine hesitant at a neighborhood level. Research shows that positive emotional messages such as altruism and hope are actually more effective than negative ones, or forcing people. And Soledad, you brought up, for those that are strongly opposed to vaccines just based on emotion or ideology, morals, it's very, very challenging to override them with facts and information, just from a human behavior change perspective. So we really need to work on different messaging for these groups, maybe almost characterize it as a right or privilege that they shouldn't let others take away from them.
Dr. Laura Murray with Johns Hopkins University, thank you so much. So nice to talk to you.
Thank you, Soledad.